Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to the Revenge of the Sith commentary. At this point in the movie, this is pretty much the point where Anakin and Obi-Wan are having a few bants in the elevator. At least not as many as they would have been having otherwise in the, well, deleted scenes, because it's around this point in the movie where, well, again, the sequence was obviously shortened for the sake of having a very snappy opening sequence, but, in terms of what George Lucas cut out from this, like, there were actually a fair few sequences, you know, again, obviously where they fight off the droidicas in the elevator, but also where they have a fair few amusing lines. Like, I mean, I think the only one that stayed in the movie was the one where Anakin was trying to defend R2's honor by no loose wire jokes. Did I say anything? He's trying. I didn't say anything. Which again, it makes this feel like a live-action episode of the Clone Wars. But again, there actually were a few other comedic moments that were cut out. Like, I mean, when Anakin and Obi-Wan enter the lift full of battle droids, like, I mean, they pretty much cut them all down, and they pretty much have a little mockery going on by saying, Roger, Roger. I don't know. Again, it's just the small moments, but again, it would have made, like, I understand why it was cut out for the sake of pacing and all that, but goddamn, you lose so many cute moments as a result, and it's incredibly saddening. Now again, in terms of the battle droids, again, they have that massive fuck-off shield, again, they have laser blasters that can hurt you immensely, so again, the best way to deal with them is mainly to use the Force stun ability to put them in their place, or to, well, again, just pick your opportune moment. Again, thankfully, since you now have Obi-Wan to help you out wherever you really need him, so, yeah, you can just jump around, lolly-doo-lolly, and get in. Thank God for interior lift doors. Again, this sequence was, I'm pretty sure this was in there, along with another sequence where they try and find another elevator, the lift goes down, and it's basically, a bit of back and forth between, R2 and, Obi-Wan to basically just try and get the elevator up, then it goes down, and, well, wasn't really so much fighting droids as much as it was fighting the lift controls. But of course, since this is a video game and stuff like that wouldn't really fly, now we pretty much have to deal with the old beat-em-up tradition of a lift sequence. You see, this game follows all of the movie conventions. But again, there are also more things to unlock in terms of content here. Like, I mean, you can actually unlock a couple of bits of concept art that it's simultaneously both for the game and also for the movie. Because one of the things you can unlock, I believe, is actually like a bit of concept art of like what Anakin would have looked like if he wasn't Darth Vader all burnt to shit. And it's pretty impressive looking stuff. Like, I really do commend the game's artists. Oh, by the way, here's another type of enemy. Flying enemies. Won't become quite as annoying now, but they do have an upgraded variant, by which I mean, well, you know what, we'll get to it when we get to it, but in the meantime, yeah. It's, they got shields, you know, they fly around, and it's up to you to destroy them. If I could compare them to anything, it's kind of like the, little propeller fuckers from Kingdom Hearts, in terms of the Heartless enemies. So yeah, that's pretty much your level right here, bopping about, jumping around, and just, you know, just trying to progress with the story, really, while Anakin and Obi-Wan just bounce back and forth with bats, really. And I suppose there is I can also explain part of the reason why I did find this so difficult to commentate over back when I was initially planning on doing this commentary, in the sense that beat-em-up games are usually very simplistic and kind of easy to describe, really, because, again, you're really just sort of progressing over one area, beating up a bunch of enemies. And again, it usually helps that games on the Mega Drive, like, say, Streets of Rage, are usually only about, like, something you could pretty much clear in an afternoon if you were skilled enough, but, yeah, since this has a little bit more story-focused, not really too much to say that's interesting, or at least not something that's immediately, easy to communicate via, you know, just you watching the screen. But again, I'm gonna try my damnedest, because, like, I mean, I do legitimately like Episode 3 as a movie. I wouldn't say it's the best Star Wars movie, again, that's gonna go to the obvious answer of Empire Strikes Back, but I would still say it's my second favourite out of the Star Wars trilogy, and I'll probably give you my list ranking at some point if I run out of shit to say, but again, we go on. Again, the grapple droids do hit hard, but again, it's really just sort of about picking your moments and, well, making liberal use of your force powers. I mean, again, you can't go hog wild with them, because, again, they do gradually regenerate / drain pretty easily, depending on how much force powers you use, but again, like, I mean, the game gives you plenty of outs to get out of a situation, and likewise, the enemies aren't so pushover weak that, you know, you just feel like you're just going happy slaps with them and just waiting to see who wins by war of attrition. And you also get very tasty looking destruction right there. Which, to me, is also key for a beat-em-up, because, like, I mean, I feel like the ones I tend to enjoy more is the one where you really feel the impact of your hits and how weighty certain attacks are compared to, you know, the damage output, and I don't know. Like, I mean, it's good in both presentation and in terms of gameplay, because you really feel like your hits are connecting and you just... it makes you feel powerful, while also making the enemies feel like a bit of a threat, so, jolly good all around. And again, as you'd expect in terms of abilities, Anakin's and Obi-Wan's will differ quite a bit, given what happens in the story. I don't even know why I'm trying to keep it spoiler-free, since again, if you're watching this, you've probably seen the movie, and even if you haven't, what rock have you been living under? Like, I mean, 2005 really wasn't that long ago. Well, actually no, hang on, 2000... Jesus. Oh, my aching bones, aging to dust. Due to aging movies that I saw when they were new, but now aren't new anymore, and... new arc my hip. But yeah, this is pretty much the one additional segment where you gotta fight off a bunch of enemies, and there'll be some turrets dropping down. Bada bing, we do the thing, we just try and blow shit up, and look for Thikrith. And I suppose that might also be part of the reason why, like, at least in terms of context, there isn't really much to say that isn't easily communicable to the player, because... or at least for commentary purposes, because, like, again, this is just trying to extend a sequence that in the movie was, like, barely, I think, like, 1 or 2 minutes at max. Because, like, I mean, in the movie, it was pretty much Anakin and Obi-Wan, they have a little bit of trouble with the elevator. They spring all the way back up, and after that point, it's pretty much just, you know, going on to rescue the Chancellor, finding Dooku, and, Bob's your uncle, really. So again, it might be a scenario of this game being a little bit more fun to watch than it is to commentate over, but... I don't know, I still really enjoyed this commentary thing, and oh, what is this? The droid, it has ruined the elevator, and the Obi-Wan, he has been eating too many of the Jedi donuts, and now they're basically going down. Going down. So again, like, I mean, I suppose you could see these sequences as a little bit arbitrary, but... I don't know, like, I mean, with the lines of dialogue, again, it all feels very much within the mythos, and... I don't know, I kind of enjoy it. But then again, that might also be because, like, a lot of the context of the Chancellor getting kidnapped and all of that sort of thing was covered in the 2003 Clone Wars series. I mean, again, obviously with Disney canon and all that, it's probably not canon anymore. At least I don't think so. But I mean, at least in regards to anything else, like, I mean, again, you don't really get that much context as to why the Chancellor was kidnapped or why any of this is happening, and you can't really get to play that sequence because it's sort of irrelevant to, well, the actual movie part of the game that people want to play as. Because, like, I mean, in the 2003 series, it was basically a Shakti, like, some snowman-looking Jedi and an Arthurian dude who was pretty much there to save him, in a actually pretty cool sequence that showcased General Grievous in a much more badass light than he was ever seen in the movies. Like, I mean, to talk about his character for a second, since we've got fuck all of anything else going on, like, I mean, in the 2003 animated series, he was pretty much like this rabid Jedi killer who killed Padawan Shaggy and pretty much just massacred everybody, who's literally only been powered down in this movie because Mace Windu force crushed his chest. Which at least was their explanation for as to why, like, his character kind of changed between drafts, because when they were making the 2003 series, Lucas just gave him a very brief outline about what General Grievous was really meant to be, which, again, the team interpreted as being this all-powerful Jedi Slayer, whereas in the actual movie itself, Lucas wanted him to be more like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, which is apropos given that that was the characterization that pretty much stuck with the 3D Clone Wars series, so yeah, whoopsie doodles. But, I mean, regardless of such, I don't know. I lost what original point I was talking about, but that was a fun little ramble about the 2003 series that I don't think a lot of people talk about nearly as much. I guess maybe because not many people really remember seeing it, because it was like apart from the DVD release, I think it was only like a brief special being shown on Cartoon Network, at least, in between when the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith was being released. I don't know. Weird 2000-y things that aren't relevant anymore.
We're about to become a lot thinner. Quick, back into the car.
You first, Master.
There's no time to argue. Go! Next time we're taking the stairs.
And now we finally start getting to the good shit. By the way, a bit of a difference in the novelization, actually. In the novel, the Revenge of the Sith novel, I should say, yeah, Dooku actually kind of, like, floats down gracefully, whereas here he just front flip sword, which, you know, I'm totally sure is something Christopher Lee could actually do in live action, but, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe they wanted to see him do many flippies, which they didn't do in the original trilogy because nobody had the training, I guess. But yeah, now you're about to see how things go up against a Jedi opponent, or at least an opponent with Force powers, and again, Count Dooku, in terms of his trademarks, again, he has all the basic Force abilities, he'll use his Force lightning, and of course he has a very elegant and refined style of lightsaber combat that gets me into another mode of Revenge of the Sith, in terms of its gameplay, because in Revenge of the Sith you can actually play as Count Dooku in the 2-player mode. Again, given that this game has a very beat-em-up style origins, yeah, you can pretty much play as some of the Jedi and Sith that you defeat, and, well, you know, just have a really good time. I'll talk a little bit more about it shortly after this cutscene.
You're finished, Dooku.
So, yeah, as for what I was saying before, again, like, I mean, you can pretty much have, like, this 2-player mode with a bunch of different arena settings, one actually very similar to this. So, like, I mean, again, you can have Anakin versus Obi-Wan if you want, you can have, you know, Anakin versus a few other characters that we'll be getting to in a minute, or Count Dooku or whatever. And again, as is fighting game tradition, like, I mean, if you have, like, a player 2 picking the same character, you basically get, like, a bit of a reskin. Like, I mean, if you're playing Anakin in the 2-player mode and you both choose Anakin, yeah, then you'll pretty much get a Anakin light side, then Anakin dark side. With Obi-Wan, it's pretty much Obi-Wan with a green lightsaber, and with Count Dooku, you get him with a blue lightsaber, I believe. And again, they do also have very retrospective banter and, you know, funny lines to talk about with each other, but I think we'll get into that a little bit later, because there is a lot of interesting commentary in regards to that. But anyway, in regards to the actual fight itself, again, as is typical of video game stature, it is extended, although you don't really get a lot of, like, some of the dialogue that you saw in Revenge of the Sith, which I guess they either didn't have for the sake of, I don't know, I guess the fact that they didn't really have those scenes of the movie. By the way, foreshadowing to episode 6. Like, again, because, like, I mean, what Dooku was meant to be doing, at least in terms of the storyline, is basically encouraging Anakin's anger and basically, well, I guess from what Dooku's perspective was basically to turn him to the dark side, make sure that he makes him as his apprentice, and eventually overthrow Darth Sidious, as is his evil plan, but unfortunately for Dooku, he is sadly mistaken on what Sidious's intent actually is, because he's an old dude, and has kind of outlived his usefulness at this point. And yes, again, if you double tap the analog stick in a certain direction, you can activate force speed, which again does drain your speed like a motherfucker, but again, if you need to get out of a situation or you're taking a bit too much damage, that's pretty much you're out there. By the way, that blue glow was pretty much, well, again, your ability to force pug them. By the way, that also right there, in a similar manner to Jedi Outcast actually, you can actually get into saber clashes, and again, basically button mash to defeat your opponent in a game of 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war. And again, depending on what buttons you mash, you can either get like a heavy attack, which does some significant damage, or a more lighter attack, which, you know, as you saw right there before, allows Anakin to do his little slash, punt, and that's how you win the game. And now we head right back to Palpatine, because Dooku was so scared of losing, he was like, oh yeah, Anakin can walk, who knew? And now we're gonna get a really cool shot in just a few seconds. Epic. And of course Sidious is just sitting there. I'm sure he would be eating some popcorn or other kind of refreshments if he wasn't binded down. Although it does kind of make me wonder what would have happened if, like, Anakin and Sidious, like, were a little bit loosey-goosey with their lightsaber controls and ended up stabbing Palpatine and thus ending the war forever. Well, I mean, I suppose Dooku probably would have picked up where his plan left off, but, I don't know. Would have been amusing to see, for silly mistakes, change the fate of the galaxy forever. Slash, kick. Punch, I mean, I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, you also do have in-level banter, which I do apologize for talking over, but, well, I don't know. It's, if I didn't talk during now, then I probably wouldn't get a word in edgewise. And Jesus Christ, look at those backgrounds, they are so fucking cool and detailed. And yeah, difference from the movie. You don't get that scene where Anakin pretty much has him in a scissor lock and slices his head off under Palpatine's command. Which, again, it does lose a little bit of the scene, but I don't know. It's weird. It's not trying to be as immersive or cinematic. which I think is part of the problem, but again, it does nail the arcadey gameplay feel down, which, well, it's basically going to be a running theme here. So on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and join us next time for more Revenge of the Sith action.
His fate will be the same as ours.
There's no cross.